2 and on the internet at cvmtv.com. After being on the run for nearly a month since police stormed his heavily barricaded enclave of Tivoli Gardens, Christopher Dudus is now in police custody. Jamaica's most wanted fugitive was held along the Mandela Highway this afternoon. Our news team captured exclusive footage in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, as the police transported the man called the President to a waiting helicopter. Delona Fleming witnessed the unfolding drama.
All entrances and exits to the Spanish Town police station were closed by the security forces. Residents were seen running frantically after hearing news that Coke had been held by the police. The situation grew tense as a JDF helicopter was seen landing at the prison oval ball field across from the Spanish Town police station. Soldiers were seen guarding the area as word circulated that Coke was being held at the police station. Shortly afterwards, 3 vehicles including a blue Hiace minibus carried Mr. Coke from the police station to the football field. At least 7 soldiers formed a human shield around Mr. Coke and escorted him to the helicopter. He was then whisked away in what some have described as a strategic police operation. It included members of the Spanish Town Criminal Investigative Branch, the Radio Car Patrol Unit, and the Special Operations Team from the St. Catherine South Division. A police source informed us that Coke had completely shaved his head, and when they intercepted the car, he appeared fearful at first, but he later appeared to trust the police and even commented on their professionalism. Delona Fleming, CVM News.
Now, meanwhile, the police sought to provide details on Mr. Coke's capture at a hastily called press conference this evening.
They weren't able to provide details on many of the burning questions needing answers, though.
Dwayne Burbick was at the police commissioner's office and now joins us on set. Dwayne?
Thank you, Janella. Thank you, Curlin. No, it was a brief press conference hastily called, as we mentioned, to confirm what many Jamaicans had been hearing all afternoon. Fugitive Christopher Dudus Coke is now in police custody.
Arrested by a party of policemen manning a vehicle checkpoint along the Mandela Highway, and they were acting on intelligence. Coke is being held now in a secure facility.
And there was very little else that the top cop would tell us. He didn't tell us whether or not other persons were captured along with Mr. Coke, and he definitely did not say where Mr. Coke was being held. Owen Ellington did say, though, that legal proceedings will begin immediately and steps are being made to have Coke before the courts in a matter of days.
Once we are able to settle on the issue of legal representation and to reach an agreement with the Director of Public Prosecutions on where the hearings will be held, a court date will be set, and we anticipate that we can achieve that within 48 hours.
In the meantime, the police dismissed any suggestion that there was a plan within the ranks of the constabulary force for Mr. Coke to be handed in. Mr. Ellington asserted that it was the police's own intelligence that led to Christopher Coke's capture.
Asked each individually if they were party to any discussion or agreement for the bypassing of the legal processes for Coke to be turned over to U.S. Marshals. Each officer responded in the negative.
And the police say they have an interest in the Reverend Al Miller, who was with Coke at the time of his capture. The question was asked, though, if Reverend Miller was with Coke at the time of his arrest, why was he allowed to leave the scene? Here's Mr. Ellington's response.
Policemen on the ground at the time allowed him to go. I'm investigating the reason why that was done. However, from our standpoint, we believe that he needs to come in and speak with us because there are some questions that he needs to answer.
Now, Mr. Ellington said that today's activities are now the subject of a police investigation at the highest level. Now, many persons wanted to know whether or not the $5 million reward will be issued. That, the Commissioner says, will form part of the intense investigation, along with a determination as to whether or not Mr. Coke will be charged locally in connection with damage to police stations and other state property during the May 24 operation. And as soon as those investigations have been completed, Mr. Ellington said we will be provided with an update. Now, members of the police force have also been placed on high alert, as the police say they are anticipating some amount of reprisal to Mr. Coke's capture. Curlin, Janella.
Thanks, Dwayne. Meanwhile, as news of Coke's capture spread, our news team sought reactions from residents of his former stronghold of Tivoli Gardens.
Interestingly, many Tivoli residents were relieved upon hearing the news of Coke's capture. Relieved, they say, because they had feared he would have been killed based on the controversial circumstances of his case.
I feel good more than they hold him and kill him. Or maybe if them it's him, they would kill him. Okay. So I'm prepared to give up himself.
I feel good for them have the president still, but in a way I'm kind of glad. And why him do this to him, do this for him people, because I'm sure them and do it down here. Them have a way, them that talk about all the man have we as should.
So now that the man who is widely known as the president in West Kingston is now in police custody, the residents believe it's now time for the security forces to exit their community.
So them for go home now and live in here now in peace. It's like all Jamaica, one and only president of Jamaica, and he's giving himself just like that. What about the security force? Why them not leave now? Why they not go home now? We're tired that want freedom.
As the legal proceedings in the extradition case get underway, Tivoli residents are hopeful that Coke will be vindicated.
I will not stop love him. I will know that him under the bosom of God, and God will carry him through all this.
Me afraid to them I go do him, because to them they kill him father, But I know him God bless, and his mother God bless, so I will pray us pray.
And the police say they will be seeking the advice of the Director of Public Prosecutions as they move to lay charges against Christopher Coke's brother, Leighton Levy, better known as Liberty. A senior police officer has told CVM that lawmen are looking at several cases in which Liberty could be charged. Meanwhile, Liberty could soon be slapped with his first charge of shooting with intent in connection with the incidents during the West Kingston operation by the security forces. He recently faced an identification parade and is set to face others.
Meanwhile, it's clear that the security forces would not relent in their efforts to rid the country of criminal elements. This as the state of emergency has been extended on the very day Coke was netted by the security forces. Andrew Cannon was at today's parliamentary sitting when Prime Minister Bruce Golding brought the resolution that would give more powers to the security forces.
Due to a resolute incursion, a criminal enclave is nothing but a shadow of its former self. A Don has been routed and he scurried for cover. Now he has been captured. That, however, is not enough for the security forces and the Prime Minister. So almost a month after Mr. Golding informed the House that a state of emergency was in effect for the parish of Kingston and St. Andrew, Tuesday he sought support from Parliament for its extension to July 22. Even more was announced as well. Starting at midnight, the state of emergency will take root in St. Catherine, where, according to the Prime Minister, there have been 170 murders from January to May, 58 more than what was recorded for the same period last year. Even as the security forces were lauded for bringing the situation under substantial control, the Prime Minister was resolute. This is not the time to retreat.
We cannot afford to send a signal to them that we are prepared under whatever kind of pressure to bow, to waver, to feel that, well, maybe we can't stick it out. Because the day that they're allowed to return to a state of complacency is the day that we would not only have lost the battle, it's when we would have lost the war.
For the opposition, though, it was critical and guarded support for the state of emergency. Peter Bunting highlighted a dramatic 35% reduction in crime since the state of emergency, but he indicated the news should be welcomed with cautious optimism.
The murder rate is starting to return to the norm that we've seen over the past few years. Suggests that the conditions of the state of emergency by itself will not be sufficient.
Now, at one point, it was thought Everett Warmington would have broken ranks, given a stinging broadside against some members of the security forces.
Those rogue officers who are among the decent ones do not get the opportunity to go out there and continue the abuse of the citizens of Jamaica.
However, throughout it all, there was much finger-pointing through off-the-cuff barbs from both sides about who should be faulted for crime. A lot was levelled at the Prime Minister for Coke not being held before Tuesday, but Fitz-Jackson was infuriated.
The problem of crime and violence, we place it at the foot of one side or the other, rather than taking collective responsibility for it. And while we pat ourselves because we can make some score some points to blame the other, the country is reeling.
So the man that sparked it all is now in police custody. That notwithstanding, the police are saying that they want more time to go after more guns and more ammunition. So the state of emergency has been extended in Kingston and St.